And I've been through it all, been called it all. Anorexic, chicken legs, giraffe, you name it, I've copped it. And now I've gone through all the cycles. I started off super skinny, I bulked up, got a little bit too fat, then trimmed down, and now I'm at a point where I'm very, very happy. And I want to tell you the exact mistakes that I would avoid if I were to do it all over again. From going from 60 kilos up to 100 kilos and then cutting down from there. All these things took me way longer than it needed to be. This transformation was a 10-year transformation because I kept falling off and getting back on, and because I didn't have the right tools and mindset. So I'm going to go through the exact mistakes I made, and that if I had to do it all over again would have made it so much quicker to go through this change. So the first one is that it wasted so much time because I didn't know exactly what I was doing. You think it's more complicated in your head than it actually is. When you're going through a body transformation trying to cut down, lose weight, you think that it's really difficult because you've just got this holistic mindset of, eat healthy, eat high protein, do some cardio. But unless you have a real plan and a real structure in place, you're going to be in the exact same position I was, where you're on this journey for multiple years when it doesn't need to take that long. Because once you have the right plan in place, this can be a lot quicker. And so the first thing that I would change is understanding macros. So the key thing, and when I saw other people doing it as well, tracking your macronutrients, your carbs, your fats, your proteins, and your overall calorie intake. This was the biggest game changer for me, but also the biggest thing for me to overcome in terms of my mindset and actually getting started. I always heard from, a friend of a friend that this person tracks their calories, and I'm like, this person's got a eating disorder, or a little bit too over the top. Like, I just need to eat healthy and go to the gym, work hard, and that'll get me the results that I wanted. But I was wrong, because I was doing that and I was far from where I wanted to be. Once I actually overcame that and started to look into it, study it, understand what it meant, understand what it could do for me, that's where it all changed. And it's very simple as well. Tracking your calories it adds like 30 seconds to 1 minute in my day once you get over that barrier of learning how to do it. But the important thing behind it is exactly like having a budget for yourself. You know exactly what you have for the day in terms of what food you can eat, what you need to hit your savings goal, for example, but in this case, hit your weight loss goal or weight gain goal, whatever it is. And because you have that data, you know exactly what to do. There's no question marks in the air. There's no mental stress, because you know exactly what you need to do. It's exactly like savings. If you have a budget of what you can spend each day and you hit that goal, you know you're on the right track. You're making progress. There's no ifs or buts about it. You don't have to question it at night, tossing and turning, like, could I have saved more? Whatever it is, it's the exact same thing here. When you track your calories, you know exactly what you need to hit, what protein you need to hit to make the progress. It becomes facts at the end of the day. If you're just having a holistic mindset of eating healthy and going to the gym, you'll be tossing and turning at night like, should I have done a little bit more cardio? Should I have maybe skipped out on that chocolate bar or whatever it is? But when you know the exact data that's going into your body, all the questions go out the window, and it makes it so much easier on your mind. So that's the first thing. Tracking your macronutrients, tracking your calories. It's very quick and easy. You go buy a $10 scale from your grocery or Kmart, whatever it is, and you watch like 5-10 minutes of a YouTube video of how to do it, how to track in MyFitnessPal, and you're done, you're sorted. You know exactly what you need to do now. Maybe you get a coach to understand what exact targets you should be hitting, but at least you got a starting point, and you can always build from there on your own. So that's the key thing. That's the key thing that absolutely transformed my physique, was actually understanding what I was putting into my body. Because without that, you're just guessing and you're not going to go anywhere. So that's the first thing. The next thing is a gym plan. I really enjoy going to the gym, having fun, pushing myself, going with mates, having a good gym session. I never had a problem with consistency in the gym. Going to the gym and that motivation there was never an issue for me. But what was the issue was I never had a real plan when it came to the gym. I never tracked my progressive overload. I never tracked what exercises I was doing. I never tracked what overall sets I was doing on each muscle group, and understanding which body parts were lagging behind, which ones I needed to stimulate more, and tracking that over time so I can continue to get that progress. I kept spinning my wheels in the gym, constantly pushing the same weight and getting the exact same result because I was just going in there for a bit of fun. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. It's better than nothing. But if you want to actually change and get a huge transformation and actually do something different for yourself, you actually need to start tracking these things. Hopefully you're seeing a bit of a trend here of tracking data analysis of just straight facts. You've got to track your food and you've got to track your gym. People hear this and they understand that that's what they need to do, but they don't do it. Once I actually started doing these things, that's when I actually started to see the real results, the real change. And so tracking my gym sessions, writing in a notepad, whatever you like to do, in paper, pen, or in your notes in your phone, and understanding what you hit last week in terms of your weight, your rest, your sets, and the order as well. All these things you need to keep consistent over several weeks, so you know exactly what you need to change, how you need to push yourself. And that can be in the form of higher weight, of course, changing the reps, higher reps, increasing the sets, decreasing the rest time. There's so many different ways where you can increase the tension and the stress on the muscle. It doesn't just have to be about the weight. There's all these other factors you can change. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to increase the weight forever. Obviously, people understand that. So how do you make it harder? All your muscle understands is pain. So if you can continue to make it hurt more in different ways, you're going to stimulate that growth consistently. And so if you don't track this, you won't know what to change. You won't know what to do each time. So that's why it's so key to be tracking your workouts, tracking your weight, and it'll give a lot more structure to your gym sessions as well. I would go in there, spend like an hour and a half, 2 hours, chit-chatting and whatever, and waste a whole session basically of just kind of having fun. It was good, but I wasn't getting the progress that my body wanted and what I wanted. So once I actually started tracking, it actually shaved down my time in the gym. I'm in the gym now for max an hour to an hour 15, including a warm-up and all that. No hour and a half, 2 hour gym sessions for me. I've got other things to do. And so it's good from a time efficiency perspective, but it's also really good from that progressive overload and actually achieving a real change in your body. So that's the other key thing. And lastly, and kind of the biggest thing, is the mentality around training and achieving a physique change. If you're in a stage where you want to drop weight and get to a real fat loss goal of yours, understanding that you need to be in a calorie deficit is no longer a big question mark. Like, you understand what this is and you understand the premise of it, but understanding the mentality shift that you need to get is what most people fail at and why they keep dropping off. Once I had actually changed my mindset to understand that I need to go through this, when I have periods where I'm a little bit hungry, and if you plan correctly, it's not as bad as you might think in your head, where you're, ravenously hungry in your bed, like waiting for the next meal or whatever it is. I have small periods throughout the day where I'm a little bit hungry. It's not the end of the world. I have a coffee, have a drink, and then my next meal's around the corner. If you plan it correctly, fat loss and losing that weight and having a real transformation, it doesn't actually require as much grit and as much pain as people might think. People see these TV shows like The Biggest Loser or whatever that fat loss TV show was, where they're doing like these crazy circuits and running up hills and having huge backpacks on their back and people yelling at them. That's not what fat loss is. That's not what a real transformation is. That's a short-term change that they can get. Something where you need to integrate into your life is a lifestyle of tracking your food, tracking your gym, and understanding where you need to go from there, and that it takes time. That's the biggest thing. When you don't see results after 1 month, or maybe even less, after 2 or 3 weeks, you see the same scale on the weight on the scale, and you're pushing the same weights and you feel the same roughly, that's when people start to drop off. But you've got to understand the long-term vision here. And what helps with maintaining that consistency is when you track the data, because then you don't have to think about it, you don't have to have a holistic mindset and view of it. You don't have to just look in the mirror and kind of feel like you're looking the exact same, because you see yourself every day as well. So it's not a good gauge. But when you track the data and you know exactly the numbers that are going in and out, what changes that are happening, you don't have to rely on any of that. You just rely on facts. That's why it becomes so much easier to stay consistent when you're on one of these journeys and why it's so important to track these metrics. So having that mentality shift of understanding that you will have a little bit of discomfort. That's what comes with having a real change. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not as hard as you might think. It requires you to tick off a few little boxes each day. And that's what I was able to do towards the later half of my transformation. I was just going to the gym trying to bulk up at that time, at 60 kilos, trying to get as big as I could. But I didn't really know what I was doing, and it took me years and years because I kept falling off, getting back on, not eating the right things, not tracking, not knowing exactly what to do. And then when I was in a phase where I was like, yeah, I've got a good amount of muscle on me now, but I look like shit, I'm fat. Because I didn't know what I was doing. Obviously I overate, and I wasn't doing the right things. Now I need to cut down, I need to reveal that muscle now. And then when I did it in a systematic way, I was tracking. It became so easy. I just knew I had to tick these boxes off each day, and I would see the result. That's the thing, is I always had in my mind that I just don't have the body type to get in shape. I don't have the genetics or the lifestyle for it. It just wasn't meant for me. But once I had the real mindset shift of understanding it's all data related, it's all facts driven at the end of the day, and I just had to tick off a few boxes, I knew I was guaranteed to get the results. If you knew you were guaranteed to get the results, I bet you'd have a different outlook and perspective each day when you have to push through a little bit of hunger, push through a little bit of a hard gym session, a little bit of cardio. It makes it that much easier when you know you just have to do X, Y, Z to achieve the result. So that's the key things that really helped me. So this transformation for me took me way too long. And this is it's one of the things that gives me a different perspective, is because I understand the lifestyle of when you're just trying to go to the gym and be healthy, but you're not seeing the results. And that's what's deterred me a lot and held me back quite a lot as well. So once you have made that shift and you understand that you need to knuckle down and really get serious with this, but it's not as bad as you might think once you get started with it. If you have any questions with this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, shoot me a DM. Happy to answer any questions. But this is all readily available on YouTube. Go Google how to track your calories in MyFitnessPal, 5 minutes, done. You know exactly what to do. Gym sessions, go Google a YouTube video of a good 3, 4, 5 day split, whatever you have time for, and understand progressive overload. And then change that mindset to a long-term one, where you understand it takes time, that if you tick off these metrics each day, you will get the result. You just have to stick to it. So these are the things that really helped me. Those were the things that held me back the most, because I wasn't doing these things. I was just going for the sake of it, for the holistic approach of it, that I'm a healthy person, I go to the gym, I eat high protein, I eat chicken, all that kind of thing, but it wasn't getting me where I wanted to be. So make these changes, and I guarantee you're going to see those results.